everyone. This is Tamara broadcasting live from shelfaddiction.com, and welcome to episode 85. We're here live today reviewing and recapping The Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 16, the first day of the rest of your life. This is also the season finale, so get excited. Whether you're listening live via Shelf Addiction or listening live via Spreaker, leave a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts on last night's episode. If you're enjoying live episodes, go ahead and share it now on Twitter. Show your support by rating the podcast and leaving a positive review on iTunes. The podcast can also be found on the Spreaker app, YouTube, Google Play Music, the Stitcher app, and more. Joining me today is PCS co-host, fellow TV junkie, and indie author Lisa Orban. If you want to comment on something you've heard during today's podcast after the episode, leave a comment below, or you can find me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. You can also find Lisa on Twitter at Lisa Orban Author. If you'd like to email in feedback or questions, feel free to reach out to me at info@shelfaddiction.com. Hey Lisa, what's up?
Oh my god, I'm so excited to talk about last night's episode.
I know, it was such a good... I actually watched it twice already.
Nice.
Yeah, I watched it last night live, and then when I woke up this morning, I said there was so much going on, I want to watch it one more time before we jump into this conversation.
I was trying to watch it today, I couldn't squeeze in the time, but oh my god, it didn't go anything like I thought it would.
No, I know. Oh, I should have wrote down some of your predictions. You were off.
I didn't think there was going to be that battle. I thought it was going to be this big build-up, and they were all going to, come together, and, and then that's how they were going to launch off the next season, but oh no.
Yeah. This was like a prequel battle. So it wasn't the war, it was a battle before the war.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And the tiger. Were you as worried about the tiger as I was?
I'm like, oh goodness. Now, I expected to see that tiger finally go into action, but I was hoping, please don't be too CG. Please don't look bad. And I was just excited to see the tiger. And then when I watched it the second time around, I'm like, oh, it is kind of CGE, CGE, I guess.
Yeah.
But I still like seeing Shiva, tear people up. So that was good.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I was really... Because, when he was jumping in there and the bullets are flying, and I'm going, oh, don't shoot the tiger, don't shoot the tiger.
Oh, no, that tiger has got to make it through to war. So that tiger was needed. I wasn't fearful that someone would kill the tiger because I just knew he was going to make it. But I was annoyed that Negan escapes the tiger twice. I'm like, get out of here.
I know. Although, did you see Negan's face the first time he saw that tiger?
Yeah. He was like, oh, crap,
beautiful.
The tiger.
When that tiger jumped down at the guy next to him, and he's just like,
Yep. Just in time.
Rolling.
Just as he's about to bash Carl's head in. Just in time.
Oh, yeah. And Sasha. Oh, my God.
Oh. R.I.P.
I
Sasha. R.I.P.
I know. At the beginning of the show, and I'm watching her, and I'm thinking, she's going to kill herself.
Yep.
She is going to kill herself. She really is going to do it.
Yep.
And then when she jumped out, as a zombie, I was just like, oh my God. And I was so upset. I really wanted her to eat Negan. I thought that would do poetic justice in that.
It would have been, or at least if she got one good bite out of him, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But when it
started, he had gotten his arm, they would have had to chop off his arm. They could have saved Negan, but he's going to be armless. That would have been
cool, actually. But at the beginning, when they showed her in the dark, and I'm like, the music and like her flashbacks to Abraham, like throughout, I'm like, oh no, this is not good. And at first, I'm like, is she in that room still? I couldn't tell where she was at first. And I'm like, what's happening? But then the minute Negan pulled that tarp off, I'm like, oh no. Oh no, she's in there.
Yeah. Well, and sorry about that. But and it was kind of this, you could see her coming to peace with everything as because it was not just Abraham, but she had these little moments with other people too. And, throughout the whole thing. And then at the very end when she's sitting on that log with Maggie, and it was just this really tender moment there. And I'm so happy they gave that to her. Yeah,
I mean, honestly, her character has been a badass like the last, season. I'm like, I really like Sasha's character now. I mean, at the beginning, she was kind of meh, I could take her or leave her, but they've really gone leaps and bounds, I think, with her as a character, and I kind of hate to see her go, but I understand it.
Oh, yeah. So, and we also, and I was waiting for the Junkyard people to betray, Alexander. I just didn't think they were going to do it so soon.
Oh, I know. Now, those people have been calling them Garbage Pail Kids. I'm like, that's funny. And, I mean, even Negan talks bad about rolling around with the garbage. Like,
yeah.
But I don't know. I knew something was up with her because she was just too, I mean, even when she makes that comment to Michonne about, oh, I'm going to lay with Rick later, do you care? I'm like, oh, man, this shit crazy.
Yeah. Well, and we all knew that they're nuts. And I am curious what their background is, because I don't think it's just, adapting to, the zombie apocalypse. I really think there was something wrong with them all to begin with, because of the way they speak and how they act and everything else. But, and like I said, their betrayal was not unexpected. I assumed that they would wait until after the battle, and then, and then they would turn on Rick. Yeah.
Well, just because you can tell that there is something going on between Jadis and Negan. Like, they had that little, 12, no 10, 12, no 10. And she's like, fine, 10. And I'm like, 10 what? 12 what? So obviously there's room for her to flip-flop again.
I took it as slaves.
What?
I took it as people.
People, 12 people?
Because the way that she was talking about it, I was assuming that Negan had promised me either 12 people from Alexander or 12 of the workers that he has from his compound.
Maybe. I don't know. I wish I knew more clearly, but I feel like Jadis is not going to just roll over and take 10. I feel like there's room for her to flip again.
Oh, yeah.
Even though Alexandria and Hilltop, none of them should trust her, but she'll take every opportunity to flip again if she can get something out of it.
Oh, yeah. She is not an honorable thief.
Yeah. For sure.
If I were them, before I even went after Negan, because they know where they are in the junkyard. They know. I would honestly just get a couple of bombs and I would carpet bomb that place.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Because, well, I'm jumping ahead, so I'm not going to go there. But, I mean, yeah, they better watch their back for real, because going into season 8, they better watch it. They're on the hit list now.
Yeah. And I knew that they were going to be unpredictable. And we had kept talking about, it's not a good idea to arm these people. It's not a good idea to make a deal with these people. And I know why Rick did it. I know why he did. But you could tell from the very beginning. And I just, like I said, I just didn't think the betrayal would be quite so quick.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of surprised that Negan would even work with them, other than the fact that he might look at him and go, oh, someone crazier than me. All right.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I kind of didn't like was the beginning. And the reason why I say that is, and it's like, it just took me a minute I had like these 4 things that kind of hit me at the beginning of the episode. The first, I was like, whose kid is that on the floor? And I'm like, oh, is that Judith? Oh. It actually, I had to think about it. I'm like, it's been a while since I seen that kid. I'm like, whose kid is that? And second, I'm like, when did Gregory leave? Did I miss something? How much time has passed? You know how I have a hard time with the time on this show.
I don't think much time. I think maybe a day or 2 has passed. But the last thing that Gregory did say at the end of last episode was, get the car ready, we're leaving.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so that wouldn't even be much of a time gap right there.
Yeah. And then, of course, we did have, Carol saying we need to fight, or we need to be prepared to fight, to Ezekiel. But it just seemed like all of a sudden, here they are on the road, on the march to the war. And I'm like, I don't know. It just, and then like the whole Jadis thing. When did he give her the guns? I'm like, okay. Did I miss that too?
I don't think he actually has given her the guns yet. I think he told her that they could keep all the guns from Alexandria.
Yeah.
And that was the deal that he made with her. And then something additional. Like I said, I'm thinking it's people to help scavenge and so on and so forth, because they like to take things.
Yeah.
And they're not, honestly, all that particular about what they take.
No, not at all.
And you can see, because they have that gigantic junkyard, and they don't even know what they have. They're just scavenging, and it's food, and it's clothes, and it's things. You know, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. I mean, they're doing all right per se, but again, they're not. God only knows what. I mean, for all we know, there's an entire arsenal somewhere buried in that stack of stuff that they have collected and have forgotten about.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Those garbage pail people,
yeah,
they are violent. And you know what? I really hate what they've done to Michonne's character. I feel like she is so soft now. I hate it. Because a couple seasons ago, she would not have let that girl get the best of her. She wouldn't have been beat down like that. Yeah. Now, she's so soft.
I kind of noticed that, too. Because I'm thinking, man, the Michonne of old, she would have just, she would have kicked ass and taken names and, and walked away, shook it off. But, yeah, I mean, but then again, Alexandria seems to have softened a lot of them.
I don't know if it's Alexandria or if it's just falling in love. I'm like, whatever it is, get your life together, girl, because you just about died.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I mean, it was a really intense episode, and I enjoyed it. I know I made a lot of predictions, but I really like being wrong. It's nice when a show can surprise me and it's not predictable, and I can watch the whole thing going, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, right.
I enjoy that experience, so I'm not all that upset at all that few of my predictions came true.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, at least you're not salty about it, so that's a good thing.
Oh, no. And I think, I'm kind of thinking Ezekiel, I don't think they were planning on going to war. I think they were just planning on meeting up with Rick and discussing the situation. Yeah. When they came upon the whole Negan thing.
See, I thought that they knew they were going not necessarily to war, but to some conflict. Because, that speech he gave Morgan was like, hey, use this anger in a different way. Don't let it be for nothing. So it's like, they're marching off. They got the two horses. And his speech and his demeanor. I just felt like he thought he was walking into something. I don't know what, but something.
Oh, yeah. They are very much going towards war. I just don't think they expected it quite so soon.
Yeah.
I think if they had expected it sooner, they would have had more people.
Yeah,
I think this was like a, hey, we're just going to go and meet up with the Alexandria people and see what is going to happen. And because they hadn't, Alexandria hadn't really given them their plans because they said they weren't going to, unlike the Hilltop. So I think it was just a matter of timing at the, as far as that goes. Yeah. And of course we find out that Dwight is, he had not turned. He was not there to help. He was just there to mull out information.
I think he was a sleeper cell. I honestly think, now let me, just a little food for thought, because I don't know if you caught this at the end. At the end he left that chess piece for Daryl that said, I didn't know. That was a callback to something else.
Oh, that's where I was trying to figure out who was that. You really think that was him?
Yeah, I think it was Dwight telling Daryl, hey, I didn't know that Jadis was going to flip. Maybe even I didn't know that Sasha was in the coffin. And I do think he's a sleeper cell. Like, he was supposed to go back there and, and kind of just lay in wait, right? That's what I think that Dwight's job was.
Well, and together, there was that talk about, things that he would do to try and get the Saviors corralled enough that Alexandria could come after him. So, I don't know. I definitely feel like
Dwight is going to be like probably the linchpin when it comes down to like, you know, them infiltrating them and just taking him out once and for all. It's going to be him. I think they're kind of like working on building his redemption story for next season. Like he's going to be doing all kind of stuff.
Because see, when I saw that chess piece, I thought, my first thought was, did Eugene leave that there?
Nah.
You know? And I thought that, well, you know, because that whole I didn't know thing. And so I don't know. I was thinking, who could have left that? Who could have left that? You know?
Yeah. I mean, Eugene might not have known about Jadis, but, you know, obviously he knew about Sasha being in there. And, I mean, I don't think he's changed his stance. Because even as Sasha was getting into the coffin, you know, or as they were making that walk, you know, he's like, oh, I hear, you know, you've changed your mind about taking that allergy pill. And she's like, yes. So Sasha is not letting him in on what she's doing.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, he's not changing his stance at all. Because I feel like that was his chance to switch teams in that fight.
Right. It was. And he didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm so disappointed in him. I'll never stop being disappointed in Eugene.
Yeah. Eugene needs to die.
You know, he had that chance for redemption. He had that chance to become the person he's been wanting to be, and instead he reverted back to being a coward.
Yeah. And even Sasha told him. She told him, you know, it's not too late to do the right thing right before she gets in the coffin. Yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, I kept looking at that chess piece going, and it didn't even occur to me that it could have been Dwight. Because when I think of Dwight, I don't think of chess. You know?
No, yeah. Yeah. But I wholeheartedly believe that he wants Negan to die. He wants out of that. And, you know, playing war games, I think that was the smartest thing to do, is send him back there. Yeah. Instead of exposing that he switched.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to have to rewatch it again because, like you said, there was so much going on. The big overall impression was just like, wow. Yeah. And Maggie, you knew, and at the end, Maggie talking, you know, when Rick said, you know, thank you for coming, and she's like, you know, this was put in motion before we ever met, before we were ever family. You know, it happened with Glenn when he came to rescue you, and I know. I was just like, oh.
Yeah. And you know what? I was watching someone's video, and they actually replayed that clip when Glenn comes over the speaker when Rick is inside of the, I can't remember the tank, yeah. And he's like, hey, you, what are you doing? Are you stupid? You know what I mean? Yeah. He's like talking smack to him, but he helps him. And I'm like, that's right. Yeah. That is their introduction. Mm-hmm. So,
and I so vividly part of it's my son had this big thing about, he had a thing going for a while about Rick's horse, you know. Mm-hmm. And you know, I'm Rick's horse, I didn't want to be here. So anyway, but yeah, I mean that whole circle thing going on there and stuff, I did kind of, I don't know, I kept kind of expecting the Oceanside to show up, or at least some of them to just, you know, appear when everyone else did, just because. Mm-hmm. And I was a little disappointed they didn't, but I understand, you know, I do believe they will come back. They're going to have a role to play.
They need the numbers. Now that obviously the Garbage Pail people are out, they need the numbers. They will join the fold somehow, some way. It's going to happen. It's just when and how. Definitely.
Oh, yeah. So, and of course, there's that whole, that whole thing with the tiger and stuff, and when, and Negan, I think that's the first time Negan has actually seen King Ezekiel.
Yeah.
And I love the way he speaks, you know.
He's like, Alexandra will not fall, not today, or something. I'm like, oh, goodness.
And he's got a sword.
Yeah. Gun in one hand, sword in the other. Like, yeah.
And, what was it? I texted last night because it just tickled me so much. Their malicious malevolence or something like that. You know? And I'm just like, oh, I love the way he uses his words.
You know what? Another part that just kind of made me laugh was Negan kind of had a hissy fit as he's shooting. He sees Maggie, and he's like, that widow is still alive! He's like so angry. It's like he wanted to stomp his foot or something, but he was too busy shooting.
I know. Well, because there's a lot of, I think kind of at that moment, I think Negan is realizing he doesn't know as much as he thought he did.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, here comes King Ezekiel with a freaking tiger, and a woman that he thought was dead is not.
Right.
And, and there's all these different things going, all these little tiny things going on throughout, this entire battle that made me, he thought he knew everything. He knew about the guns. He knew that Alexandria was going to step up because of the garbage pail kids.
Yeah.
But he didn't know about the details of a lot of this stuff. And there was Daryl and Maggie and a tiger, and so on and so forth. So a lot of these things took him madly by surprise. He was infuriated that these things had passed him by and that they were able to conceal these things from him, which is probably going to start making him wonder what else doesn't he know, even among himself, which is going to make him a lot more paranoid and unstable.
Yeah, but little does he know, there's not much he doesn't know. Honestly, all their cards are on the table right now. They still have Oceanside in their back pocket, but again, that's no guarantee, and we don't know when.
And Dwight.
Oh, yes, and Dwight. Those are the two things that he doesn't know about.
Right. So, and who knows? Rick is fairly resourceful. King Ezekiel is, pretty cagey. They've got, Carol back, on, back in action. Mm-hmm. And God only knows what that woman will do. And
she's going to keep Morgan together. That's what her job is, to keep Morgan on the straight and narrow.
Yeah. It's been kind of interesting to watch her and Morgan trading places back and forth through this entire show. Not just this season, but forever. Mm-hmm. She was once the timid one, and then she kind of went berserk, and then she kind of became timid again, and then she went berserk, and then there's all these things back and forth. Just as so she's always like on the opposite side of that circle that Morgan is.
Right.
And I kind of find it interesting. It's they are, he is kind of her yin to her yang. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they need each other, because honestly, while they're both strong people outwardly, they're really not so strong when it comes to certain things emotionally. Mm-hmm. So they need that for sure.
Yeah, so somewhere between the two of them, they need to find that balance. Mm-hmm. Between madness and weakness.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I'm like, oh, these two. But, they're good fighters, and you need them. So, as long as you keep their head in the game, it's all good.
Oh, yeah. So, I loved how they kind of pulled everything together. I really was kind of expecting at least one more death.
Mm-hmm,
but
me too.
I did find it, the little tea party type thing that Negan had with Sasha. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I'm going to take 3. And she's like, no, you're going to take 1. And they kind of go back and forth. And I could see it right there is when I knew she's going to kill herself. She's the one.
Yeah.
She is setting her, she is making this clear. And as she makes this deal with him. So, yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting, though. There will be one. Just one.
One, yeah. Negan is like such a weird character. Like, he says things to Sasha like, oh, I feel this way about you. And even if you had it, I would still feel that way about you.
Yeah.
Like, the things that he likes about people, or that evokes some kind of happiness in his, world about someone is crazy.
Well, it's interesting because he doesn't want to be challenged, but he seems to really enjoy being around these very strong characters.
Yep.
And if you think about it, Sasha pretty much kind of marched in there the same way that, Carl did.
Yeah.
And he treated her almost in the exact same way he treated Carl. Almost. Mm-hmm. Or at least there was a lot of those similarities. And there was that kind of mad respect. you know. And I think he really thinks if I can turn these guys to my side, then I have created an asset.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have that feeling like, say, towards Michonne or, you know, towards Rick. God knows he really hates Rick. You know?
But you know what? I have to say, I loved how Rick handled that, because I'm like, do not turn to mush, right? Michonne had he heard her scream. He's being threatened to kill his son. He's being threatened to have his hand smashed. And he's like, you can do it all. I'm still going to kill you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, he is at the end of his rope. He does not care. You're going down. I don't care what you do to that man. He is going to keep trying to kill you until you kill him.
Yeah. And so, I think if Negan had made more of a deal with Alexandria, like they did with the Kingdom, I think, not exactly, but if Negan had treated with Rick as trading partners,
right?
You know, I don't think Alexandria would have balked too much.
I agree, but instead he had to go kill some of his people, right? And that was just, I mean, that makes me wonder what made him think that it was okay to go that route with Alexandria and a different route with the Kingdom. Was it just the tiger? Was that the only thing that scared him?
No, I don't think it had anything to do with the tiger, because I don't think they knew about the tiger. I don't think they ever saw the tiger. At least not Negan, because as I understand it, Negan had never actually been to the Kingdom, has never actually met with King Ezekiel. That was all his second-hand man's deal.
Right, and that's what doesn't make sense. Okay, so if it's not the tiger, then what makes him different than the group at Alexandria? What makes that more worthy to barter with?
I mean, they did attack their outpost.
Yeah.
You know, to help out Hilltop.
That's right.
And I, you know, so I mean, there's that whole thing right there, and I'm pretty sure that was what was going on. But again, I mean, if Negan had treated all these different settlements as trading partners, you know, and he say, okay, I'm the king here, I'm in charge, but I'll let you run your own little fiefdom, and it'll be mutually beneficial. You know, he could have actually built a really strong community.
Right.
And instead, he's decided that, you know, he wants to be, you know, Henry VIII.
Right.
So, you know, and he doesn't want anybody to eat cake.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, they've got a rough road of it. Alexandria and Hilltop, you know, and the Kingdom, they've got a rough road of it because, I mean, think about it. At the end, when Negan called his people to war, he had a lot of people, and that doesn't even count the people at all his outposts, right?
Right.
And there are more people.
I don't know that there's a whole lot of outposts left. I mean, there are some.
Yep.
But I'm going to say in his stronghold, Negan probably only has maybe about 200 fighters, maybe. Now, there are a lot more people there, but I don't think a lot of them are going to actually fight for Negan. They will fight if they have to, if they're not given a choice. But they're not going to volunteer for it because they're basically slaves. So, and Dwight did talk about, you know, those guys, if they can get them to turn on Negan, because the slaves far outnumber the actual people who are fighting, the actual fighters. So,
and don't forget, he still has Jada's group. I mean, for now, he has Jada's group. So I say that loosely. Anything could happen.
Yeah, I mean, one of two things is going to happen. Either Negan is going to realize that they have, you know, he has a rabid dog on his heels, you know, with the Jadis group, or, you know, Rick is going to, you know, go after them, or the Jadis group is going to again turn on him because they, you know, they take, they don't deal, and if, you know, Negan does, you know, ask for tribute from them, you know, they're instantly going to turn on him.
Yeah.
They'll have absolutely no interest in that whatsoever.
Yeah. But, you know, speaking of that group, wasn't there one person, like, at the end, when they were, like, kind of I think they were looking for Sasha. There was one person that looked like she was from Jadis's group with them. Did you see that? Like with Rick's group. They were like walking along the wall. They had a quick scene of them. Like it was Rick and his son, Carl, and I think a few others. And this one chick with blonde hair that looked like she had on the same gear from her, Jadis's group. And then they switched to Jesus and Maggie, and they are the ones that found her.
Yeah. Now, see, I just assumed it was someone from the Kingdom.
Oh, possibly.
I didn't get I'd have to get because there was that blonde from the Kingdom that was with their group.
You're right. That's probably where she's from, because she kind of had like all black on that reminded me of them, but she could have just had the armor on that they use at the Kingdom. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's who it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, now we have to wait until October.
I know. Okay, so let's make just a handful of predictions before we finish things off. Season 8 predictions. Do you have any?
Let's see. Well, we all know Maggie's going to have that baby. Mm-hmm. It's probably going to be a boy.
Do you still think she's going to have that baby, like, at the beginning of the next season, like, right away? Do you think she's going to...
I don't know. If things had panned out the way that I thought they would this episode, I'd go, oh, hell yeah. Mm-hmm. But the way that things are going, I don't think so. She's not quite far enough along yet, and this is rolling fast.
Yeah.
So I don't think so. I do believe that before the end of next season, Maggie will have the baby. I think it will be a boy. It'll probably be named Glenn.
Yeah.
Herschel Glenn or Glenn Herschel or something like that. Mm-hmm. I think that she is going to become the leader of Hilltop because what's his name is left. You know who I'm talking about.
Who?
Oh, the previous leader of Hilltop.
Oh, Gregory.
Thank you, Gregory. Yes, Gregory has left his post, and people are going to follow Maggie, and I think she is going to be the new de facto leader of there. I think that Oceanside will arrive at some point in time, probably before the next big battle. And I think that the Kingdom is going to be is going to supply a lot more people. I think there really is a lot more people in Hilltop or in the Kingdom than we really know about. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say his numbers are probably on par with the Saviors.
Really? That's interesting. That means they got a lot of training to do.
Yes.
A few of mine are, I think that the whole season will be dedicated to this, art of war type of thing. Mm-hmm. I don't think they will get to the end when they actually kill Negan until, like, the season finale. Again, I think they're going to make it stretch that whole season.
Mm-hmm. I think you're probably right.
Yeah. Definitely. And let's see what else. Well, I definitely think the first part of the season probably will be them reorganizing training and taking out, the satellite outpost of Negan. I think they're going to be doing that. And Dwight's going to be trying to wreak havoc inside without anyone finding out. Yeah. And actually, I also think that while Dwight is doing that, Eugene might be the one person to rat him out if he finds out. So he's got to watch his back against Eugene for sure.
Mm-hmm. I kind of think that Carol and Morgan will go off on their own, and they'll probably start picking off Saviors, because we know that they can be found all over the place. They're always running around, and I think they're going to go off on their own, and I think they're just going to start picking them off as they can find them.
Yeah, that would surprise me. I could see them doing that. But you know what? I don't know. That seems kind of silly, only because, if they do that, only because there's no guarantee when Negan is going to come back. We don't know, it's like it would seem too risky to split up. You're two of the best fighters. You need to stay with the core group.
I think Morgan and Carol are going to have a hard time staying with the group. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be their contribution. They're basically going to act as scouts. They're going to go out, see what they can find, bring back information, and go back out again.
That I could see that happening. I can see it. Just hopefully they come back at an appropriate time when they're not being attacked or, about to be attacked or something like that. I don't know. But I also think another one of that group is going to die. I don't know who. Probably Michonne, because she's such an idiot lately.
Oh, God, I hope not. I really like her.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say. I mean, we all know that people are going to die. And we're getting down to the ones that are like, oh, please don't. It's like the core group that I just love. You know, so.
I know.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And, we've got lots of people to meet. I keep hearing about this group called the Whisperers. So maybe they might make a introduction next season. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think they might even meet up with more groups. I mean, we know there are more groups out there. It's just a matter of being able to move around enough to find them.
Right.
So, and if everyone's looking and everyone's scavenging and everyone's coordinating, then, and, who knows? It could get, I mean, they could get to the point where all of these settlements that Negan has been harassing that are encircling him, could also in turn pen him in.
Mm-hmm.
If everyone's working together, because I kind of think he's at the center of all these communities, and so they could just as easily turn on him and turn that into a corral.
Right. That's true. A bunch of little groups gang up against the one big group. I can see that.
Yep.
For sure. Well, okay, I guess we made our predictions. We'll see what actually happens, and we have a long way to wait.
Yep. Oh, there is one more thing. Mm-hmm. The other thing is the Saviors have been depending on each of these communities to supply them with food and everything else. They're not going to be getting any of those supplies anymore.
That's true.
Which means they have what they have, and unless they start scavenging and going out on their own and getting this stuff and growing, because they have no growing facilities. Mm-hmm. They have no way to get fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, none of that stuff. They have depended on every one of these communities to supply them with everything they need. Now that those supply lines have been cut off, Negan really doesn't have a lot of time.
That is a true statement. He's probably going to start feeling the pinch from his people as they run out of stuff. That is completely true, for sure. Mm-hmm.
So he knows he's going to have to win it fast, because if it's a drawn-out war, they're going to die simply because they're going to starve.
Mm-hmm. And I think it will be drawn out. I really do. Like, I know that, I think they said Volume 20 is called All Out War. So if they made Volume 20 last the whole season, I totally see that happening. Mm-hmm. So, interesting. Now we just have to wait till, October again? I think that's when it aired last time, was October. So it's a long wait.
Yeah, but we have summer stuff coming up, and I believe Game of Thrones is going to be out shortly before that, so we'll have that too.
Yeah, I think it's only 8 episodes or something. It's something short.
Yeah, but they're supposed to be amazing.
That's what I hear. They better be. So, and they're really good. HBO is really good. I am enthralled with that every time it comes on. So I know with them winding down, they've made, plans and strategies so that this thing plays out in a certain way. So I do think it's going to be good. I really do.
Oh, yeah. All righty. I think we have dissected this episode. What do you think?
I do. I think we've finished, and it's time to pack away the end of The Walking Dead and move on.
Goodbye, Walking Dead. We'll see you in October.
Yes, we will. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening, streaming, downloading, all that fun stuff. And we will see you on our next PCS. Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed today's PCS special live episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. First, you can head on over to iTunes and give a positive 5-star review. You can follow both myself and Lisa on Twitter. You can follow the Shelf Addiction Podcast on Spreaker, the only place where you can get broadcast notifications so that you never miss a live episode. Most importantly, you can share the podcast with friends and family that love pop culture. Thank you for listening. Until next time, happy viewing.